Thank you all that have joined this meeting. I'd like to offer a welcome to you all. On behalf of Cindy Lincecum, the Academy of Fellows Executive Council Chairperson, and myself, Jeannie LeBron, the Deputy, I'd like to welcome you to this Town Hall meeting. Both Cindy and myself are excited by the changes we see across the Academy of Fellows. We see increased collaboration and communication, new and fresh ideas, and an energy towards helping SAME build leaders and lead collaboration among government and industry to develop those solutions toward national security that I spoke of a minute ago. One of the upcoming changes that we're really excited about in the AOF, the XC recently added a new award to recognize exceptional fellows. I'm going to go ahead and tell you about this now here in the welcome because Beth is unable to join us. So instead of swapping back and forth between speakers, I'll tell you about the program she's been leading. And the AOF Awards and Recognition Vice Chair, Beth, will start receiving nominations towards a Regional Fellows Medal. These can be submitted from regional fellow points of contact, post presidents, and other fellows in order to spotlight those exceptional fellows who go above and beyond year after year in their posts or locally. It is very similar to the RVP medals that are currently handed out by regional fellow POCs, but this is elevating it to those that are even more instrumental in keeping the fellowship and fellows academy going here in SAME. Another change in the works, and this one is being led by myself, is the Journey to Fellow. We recognize that many posts have developed amazing resources to help their applicants prepare and apply to become a fellow, but some people may fall outside that standard path or not have access to a post with active mentoring. So the AOFXC is developing a program to help all members better understand the requirements of fellow and to help them connect with ongoing programs at the various posts. We'll share more about these things in various meetings in the future, including at SBC, where we hope to see all of you in person. In the meantime, I'd like to ask your help. The last thing that I'll share with you before I move on to each of our committee chairs or co-chairs is Ann Evie sent out an outreach to many people, and it's regarding the strategic plan. She asked a lot of questions regarding what you'd like to see the AOF become in the future and what our needs, what our gaps are. So if you did receive that request from Ann, please fill it out. Please respond as soon as possible so that all your input can help figure out what SAME Academy of Fellows will look like in the future. And now I'd like to go ahead and hand over to Russ Patterson. He is our Vice Chair for Post Outreach and Engagement, and it's because of him that we're all meeting today. Russ?
Thanks, Jeannie. I'd like to, again, welcome everybody on behalf of the Academy of Fellows. I'm really excited to restart these AOF town halls. We've got a great lineup of speakers today. And you know, some information that I found out about a few weeks ago, and I think can benefit our local posts and thus our society as a whole. So I'm looking forward to this 30-minute interruption in the busiest month of the year for many of us. I know I can certainly use a little bit of a mental break from staring at spreadsheets and working through contract negotiations, task order negotiations, and really excited about the topic today. Jeannie, are we going through each of the vice chairs, or are we rolling right into the program?
You know, the intent was to roll through each of the vice chairs, but most of them are either filling out spreadsheets, such as yourself, or have COVID. So I think, yeah, I think Sean may be the only. I don't see Lisa. I don't see Carrie Ann. If I'm wrong, then we have another vice chair here. Please let me know. I know that Sean's here. If we could just go to Sean real quick for 2 minutes, and then if we have another vice chair here, they could pop on. But then we'll hand it over to you, Josh and Dave.
Great, thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here Jeannie and also Russ. I don't want to steal any of the thunder of one of our presentation personnel, Josh McClure, on this, but I will set the stage for some of that. And I will say, as the person that I got big shoes to fill and filling up after Philios for the mentorship is I just run with my passion and the passion that we all share, and that's mentorship. It's prevalent in all that we do, and it's in various phases and various levels. And I'm just trying to get my hands around all the great work that we're doing out there. So that's one of the charges I have, is to really capture all the best practices that are taking place at the post level that's interacting with students. So the K through 12, how we're trying to bring them in, how we're trying to maintain that relationship with them through their scholarship, through their college level, and then through the young professionals, young members that we have. And we do a good job of having those engagements, but it's connecting those fellows with their interests, their passions, their knowledge base to best fit with potential mentees. There's a lot of people that are seeking them out, but we're not always finding those connections. So if we can create a means of which making, not speed dating, but a means of connecting people with needs, with people that have lots of great experiences, and help to forge some new relationships, I think we're moving it to another level. We're not just helping at the post level, we're helping across the board. For someone to be out in California, help someone in Arkansas, or vice versa across the globe, I think that's where we really are spanning and really utilizing all of our skills. So that's an initiative I'm working with Josh on, working with the young professional COI on, the YP COI. I am a member also of the advisory group under the LD Leadership Development COI, which Josh will refer to. He's going to send out a survey and some things. I'm developing a survey to send out also. I would like to plant a seed in this very brief discussion for those at the post level or at any level. Give some thought to what are some best practices you've come across, or you can point me to, and I would love to engage on those, that I can bring to the greater knowledge of the greater good of the society. And also, how about engagements with military at the post level? We know that there's a challenge with some involvement of military. It's not one size fits all, or it's not a pervasive problem, but we're noticing some posts may have some more challenges than others. Well, how do some posts succeed and others may not be able to succeed? Well, let's share how that's working or not working, and maybe we can glean some better synergies there, better efficiencies. So I'm an open book. I'm here to serve you and support you with mentor. I am a learning mentor. And on that note, I'll leave on this note is two things. Gina had mentioned about the guided pathways. There is a effort underway led by Arpin Patel, and he is part of the strategic plan, the new strategic plan team. And he's taking a strategic pause on the guided pathways until he knows how the strategic plan is going to shape to then form a more definitive guided pathways approach for young members, how they can navigate, not a formulaic approach, but where there's value added, as Charlie said, be the value. How can they be the value, and how can we provide for those opportunities? How do we encourage them to do so? And the second point I'll mention is we have lots of mentors, but sometimes young members, they've been mentees, but how can they evolve and grow to become the mentor? How do we help them do peer-to-peer mentorship, as well as, hey, I'm an emerging, maybe a future mentor. There's some resources we can do. We can help bring them along too. Guided pathways to being a mentor, not just guided pathways to being a fellow in those respects. So a lot of growth, a lot of great sharing of info. I welcome your inputs. Feel free to share my name. You can curse me out. I don't care. I'm ready to take whatever comes my way. I'm here to support you and serve you. So with that said, I won't take any further time, but a pleasure to be here and support you and serve you.
Thank you, Sean. Really appreciate your words. And it's great to hear that we're going to have a couple more polls going out to our membership to answer, because we love to get their input. Before I turn it over to you, Josh, just one more minute. I see Carrie Ann did join us. I was told she may not have been able to, but as she is on here, Carrie Ann, do you have anything you'd like to tell the group?
Good afternoon. I am here, but I am sick, so I wasn't going to speak. The communications, we will be sending out a lot of information for our upcoming small business conference. There's some great things happening there with our young members and fellows to collaborate, get together. And so all that information will be in there, plus everything that Jeannie and Sean just talked about. We'll have more information for how to get in touch with them to move some of these projects forward. So That's all I have for today. I'm gonna sign
Thanks,
off, but
Carrie
go
Ann.
to the program. Thanks.
Go drink some vitamin C. And now I think we are ready to hand it off. Russ, do you want to introduce Josh for us?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Before we do that introduction, I think we have one more slide, Kathy, to go over some important upcoming dates. Is that correct?
Oh, we'll do that. We'll do that at the end.
Okay, copy that. Well, then it's my pleasure to introduce two speakers. First up is newly minted fellow Josh McClure. And I think that the two things that excite me about this topic and our speakers today is I think they're really representative of the leaders in our society. We've got an architect, we've got an engineer, we've got project management. Um, we're really kind of representing a lot of different facets of our society in these two gentlemen. Um, we're going to learn a little bit today about what it takes to maybe engage as a fellow. Hopefully for many of you, this is an opportunity to learn about a different way to engage with your post, um, not only as an individual, but to help strengthen the post and propel it forward. So without further ado, Josh, take it away.
Thanks, Russell. So as you mentioned, I am a brand new fellow. So why am I speaking here at this town hall, having just started? And that's kind of the question that I asked Kathy whenever she asked me to speak. And so I want to start on the next slide here and talk a little bit about my SAME path and why I'm talking today. So my brief resume is I joined SAME in 2009 at the Dallas and Fort Worth Post. Bunch of stuff happened over several years. I became Fort Worth Post president in 2021. Was in the LDP class in 2022, and that kind of really led to probably why I'm here today. My current roles are, well, the Water Resources Infrastructure and Resiliency Forum coordinator for Dallas Post. So I'm involved in a lot of local larger events that we handle because the water resources and resiliency are kind of my particular expertise as a water resources team leader here at HAF. And so that's kind of the reason I really got involved in SAME and stay involved, even though I don't do a lot of federal work today, is that we do a lot of the IGE work with the local government agencies here in DFW. And so that's kind of what got me or keeps me really involved on a regular basis. But I am also and I'm going to talk more about this here in a minute, the Fort Worth Post past presidents and fellows council member. I'm a mentor and a committee member with the Texas Leadership Development Program. This is a new program we started this last year. And I was recently became the Texas Regional Fellow Point of Contact, and am also the Leadership Development COI Vice Chair, which also makes me the chair of the Mentoring Advisory Group. So a couple of things there to note is that obviously don't have sense enough to turn down anytime anybody asks me to do something. But also you'll see that there's a lot of mentoring mentions in there. And so that's really what I'm going to be talking about today is the mentoring element. So on the next slide, want to talk about how I became mentor focused. So, I asked the question why. The main reason is that I'm not very good at it. And so, or at least wasn't, and hopefully I'm a little bit better at it today. But when I was doing the leadership development program, coaching and mentoring was something in particular I wanted to get better at. And so I did my utilization project on that. For those who don't know, if you're in the leadership development program, you do a UPIC, and I forget what the IC stands for, but basically it's a utilization capstone type project that you do as part of that. So I was on a team where we were developing post-level mentoring programs. So I was partnered with Taylor Chasenak with the with the New Orleans Post, or sorry, the Louisiana Post in New Orleans, and Travis Patal, who was with the San Diego Post. They both implemented post-level mentoring programs as kind of pilot programs. And essentially, I researched the how to become a better mentor, read every book I could find in our library on the topic. And then with that, part of our product there was to go in and help supplement the mentoring across SAME guide, which I encourage everyone to look at, as well as the mentoring across SAME mentoring toolkit. So these are documents for posts to help them establish mentoring programs. A lot of good information in there, some basic how-tos for being a good mentor, being a good mentee, how to help pair mentors and mentees, a checklist for things to consider whenever you're setting up a post and that type of thing. So that kind of rolled me into some national involvement on the mentoring front. As well, when we started the Texas LDP last year, I became a mentor in that program and mentoring somebody who happens to be local to me here in my hometown, who's also similar in water resources engineer. And so helping her navigate her way as she moves up in her career. And then also, and I'm going to talk about this more on the next slide, is the Fort Worth Past Presidents and Fellows Council. That's basically a kind of internal mentoring group we have within the Post. And then the Leadership Development COI Vice Chair, because of my work in the Mentoring Advisory Group for the Utilization Project. Whenever the chair of that group wanted to step down, they asked me to take over and help lead that. And so I'm going to talk about on my last slide some of the efforts that we're really pushing for this year. So one of the things that I've mentioned previously, and there's been a lot of interest in, is the Fort Worth Post Past Presidents and Fellow Council. Unfortunately, we have not been able to locate the founding document of this, so I don't have the full history of it. But essentially, it's composed of any past president and all of the Post fellows. We meet quarterly at 7 a.m. in South Fort Worth. And so we have a new rule that we've put in is that the immediate past Post president will chair the council, and then the current president and president-elect attend. And so essentially the council is there just to give guidance, mentoring and assistance to the current and future president as they're planning out their terms, executing, struggling with things. We're there to essentially lend them assistance and help them out however they need it. What this really does is allows the fellows and the past presidents to stay involved without having a major time commitment. So, this is 4 hours a year essentially that you're being involved. And then of course, there's a lot more that you can do beyond that if you choose to, but it lets people stay in contact. And so we have a lot of fellows that may not attend many other events, but they will still come to this in order to feel connected with the group and to give some of their lessons learned. And what I like about it in particular is that it really gives a lot of continuity and understanding of kind of how things became the way they are. Sometimes we don't always recall why some decision was made or why some role was created, and having this gives us some of that continuity and that historical knowledge. The risk, of course, is that it can become a place of discouragement if you have people who don't want change. But for the most part, our PPFC has been very good. So I definitely encourage posts that have an adequate volume of fellows and past presidents to try to create such a thing. And something I'd like to see looked at if you don't have posts of that size is trying to create maybe a regional equivalent of it. This is something kind of above and beyond what the regional vice presidents are doing, but could be some role that stems out of them. But I think the next speaker is going to be talking about they have a similar council as what we have. So this is a great way to be a mentor and to really make a positive impact on the post without necessarily having to commit to a committee role of some kind. So the next slide then is what we're doing in the mentoring advisory group. So over on the right is the mentoring wheel, as we called it, out of the mentoring across SAME guide. So it lists a lot of different mentoring roles, and these are all somewhat formal roles in some way. But what we're really wanting to focus on this year, and we haven't finalized these goals exactly yet, but recognizing that mentoring is really the heart of SAME. Most of us are here to mentor, to be mentored. Even what we might call networking is frequently really just some mini networking or mini mentoring sessions as we learn from each other about what we need and advice on how to succeed. And so what we really want to encourage is that we're all mentors. We all have a unique experience and perspective. And this is going to be valuable to someone. Even the youngest of us is going to have a different perspective and can mentor the oldest of us about something, whether it's how to use Instagram or something more meaningful, how to manage the current generation or whatever it may be. Everybody has the potential to be a mentor, and we ought to be encouraging everyone to do it, not just fellows and not just the more experienced of us. So preliminary goals for the year are really to add a focus on peer-to-peer mentoring. That's not really covered in any kind of detail in here, but that's probably one of the most common mentoring that we have here is not so much senior to junior, but people in similar levels across different companies or different organizations that are helping each other, and to support and develop mentors. So don't just say go be a mentor, but providing training materials and resources and practice opportunities to help people become better mentors, and then facilitate mentoring opportunities and pairings, whether this comes in the form of a software for helping pair mentors or some other mechanism. That's something we'll be working through the year. But there are a lot of people seeking mentors, a lot of people wanting to be mentors, but don't necessarily know how to get paired up. So we want to facilitate and make that process easier. So finally, last slide, I have a couple of encouragements. And upcoming mentoring opportunities. So fellows should be mentoring someone somewhere. We should all be mentoring somebody at some level, whether you're doing that at the post, within your company, national, wherever that may be. If you're looking for some more formal fellows mentoring opportunities, definitely contact Sean and coordinate with him. As has been mentioned already, the young professionals will be sending out a mentoring survey that is geared towards both young professionals and fellows, with the goal of trying to facilitate mentoring between the two groups. And then at SBC, there will be the YP and Fellows Networking, and that's usually a pretty well attended event, but I encourage everybody to go there with the goal of trying to help out some folks advance their careers. And with that, and then finally, every post event is the opportunity to do some mentoring, as I've mentioned. So definitely look for those opportunities. Somebody at your post, some officer, some new member will be looking for some assistance, and so please help them out. That is all.
Perfect, Josh. I really loved what you had to say, and I'm not sure if he'll be introduced by Russ or if we should just go straight over to Dave, who is from my home post of Omaha, Nebraska, and is a fellow extraordinaire here. Dave, are you ready to speak? And I think if Russ wanted to introduce you, he would have popped his face up there.
I don't know. That's kind of you. I'm not sure that I'm ready to fill those shoes, but here I am. It's good to see everybody this morning, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share some of my experiences with you all. It's interesting to me. My name is David Packard. I'm a little background, I guess. I've been fortunate to have graduated from to have been inducted into fellows, the Academy of Fellows in 2017 with some really wonderful classmates. I won't name names, but we have some really great folks in our group, and we have been very close throughout the time that has occurred since then. So I think that speaks well for fellows in general and their commitment to this society. So my background, I actually was I am an architect. I graduated. I retired from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Northwestern Division as a project manager and program manager and architect. A few years ago, 2019 is when I retired. And oddly enough, my calendar says SAME almost every single day. My roles in SAME started with committee work and worked through various committee chairs in the Omaha Post, member of board of direction, and again various levels within the organization, various responsibilities. I was ended up becoming post president, the easiest job I ever had in SAME because of such a strong board of direction. I've been the vice chair for communications, one of the founding members of the architectural practice community of interest, and ultimately became the chair for 2 years and served on the national board of direction. And that was a really wonderful experience. I've been a deputy RVP for many, many years through many RVPs. But still haven't made the commitment or served as RVP. I've been the regional fellows POC for I can't even remember how many years now, but certainly for more than the 2 or 3 years that somebody regards as the term for that position. I'm the student chapter liaison for 3 student chapters, one at University of Nebraska-Lincoln, one at the University of Nebraska-Omaha, and one at Metropolitan Community College, which is an interesting opportunity for us to engage with trades as well as those starting out in their professional careers. I've been a mentor and judge in the Omaha Post's student mentoring program for 29 years. Our program this year will celebrate its 30th year, and it is quite a model for those of you that are not familiar with the student mentoring program in the Omaha Post. It is a pretty remarkable program that has been shared with other people, but
Hey, Dave, if we get on
yes.
that topic, we'll never get back on schedule. How about we have you tell us about what fellows are doing in the Omaha Post, because you're leading a great charge there.
Yes, and so and that's my next step. Thank you for segue. We are a large post. The Omaha Post, just to give you a little background, has 40 plus fellows. Some fellows continue to be active in the post, but many have moved, retired, or are not involved. Our post scholarship program requires assignment of a fellow mentor to each recipient of our scholarships throughout their duration of their college education. We have a pool of future fellows who are candidates for the coming years, and it continues to grow as members seek to mature in the society. And until recently, we have had not so much presence on the Post board of directors, except in an informal way. We've always been there to guide the Post, but there was no formal council, if you will. So the challenges to us were that we started to see changes occurring at the national level, including the emergence of the communities of interest, the Academy of Fellows, the Foundation, and other significant components of the society. The Post recognized the need to inventory our fellows to determine the level of involvement, whether active members or not. Though we have 40 plus fellows, many have moved on, and we needed to find out who, in fact, was going to be and continue to be active in our organization. And then when reviewing the Fellows Action Plan of 2018, we determined that our fellows represented basically an untapped resource for the Post. So the action that we took was to work with myself, with the regional fellows point of contact, and the Post Fellows point of contact to develop a plan to establish an Omaha Post Council of Fellows. As I said, we inventoried our active fellows to undertake an assessment of the health of our fellows organization. And based on the model of a regional sister post, the Greater Kansas City Post, we prepared a governance document and proposed the establishment of the Omaha Post Council of Fellows, which was approved in April of 2020. And I've shared that governance document with Kathy. It's actually a document, and I'll address this in a second, that is going through some revision now. So what are the impacts of all of this? You know, the so what, you know, so we knew we had a good group of people who could guide the post. So once we established our Council of Fellows, led by the Post Fellows point of contact, we are now a member of the Post Board of Directors in an advisory capacity, but we regularly report progress and mentoring activities during our Post Board of Direction meetings. The Council meets regularly to determine Post needs and assess mentoring roles for all our scholarship recipients, and is working to develop a mentoring role for young professionals as they work toward professional licensure and develop their career plans. So we start out working with middle and high school students through our student mentoring program. We take the next step to identify and students, college students or students in the trades, to provide mentors for them, specifically for the scholarship recipients, but we're there for everybody. And then our goal is to then continue to mentor young professionals as they seek their licensure and develop their career plans. As I say, we've been involved in the development of student chapters. Our fellows are key supporters of and do all the heavy lifting for our student chapters. Again, we have 3 of those. The governance document is a living document and is under revision to incorporate the changes brought about by the National Society. And again, as I say, I mean, we start to see the emergence of the growth of fellows within the society. So we recognize that change is in the wind, and we need to be ready to adapt those changes and organize ourselves accordingly. The Council works to identify a pool of candidates for future application, as I mentioned that earlier, and we want to help them guide them in that path. One of my goals was to develop a white paper on the path to fellow. So we really are looking at candidates, people who are going to be part of the leadership development program, people who attend the Post Leaders Workshop, and those that are our future leaders, in order to get them to the point where they can successfully be nominated for fellow. The Post recognizes the value of the Council as a conduit to the national in the incorporation of strategic plan goals. And one of the things we've done recently is proposed our organizational structure to reflect the strategic plan goals. So we have now 5 vice presidents in our board of direction that reflect the 5 goals of the strategic plan as it stands. As the strategic plan changes, we'll adjust accordingly. So, and obviously one of the things we do is we take the Fellows Commitment Statement very seriously, and that helps formalize the role of specific fellows. So the idea is to inspire others and seek opportunities for our role within the organization. One of the things, just on reflection, that I want to avoid is becoming SAME. The fellows are not SAME. The fellows are a great resource and have a great legacy within the society. So we are always looking to fulfill the role that we have been assigned. So that's all I have. I've got some notes on this that I can share with you because I didn't send out slides, but I have those available for the future if needed. So that's all I
Thank
have.
you, Dave. That was perfect. And you are a great poster for what the commitment after receiving fellowship looks like. As Dave mentioned, his daily calendar, although he is officially retired, includes at least one item a day that starts with SAME. I also noted that Josh said that upon becoming a fellow, he wanted more knowledge about how to be a great mentor. As with many of the great fellows who have come before him, he was modest about the true depth of his current knowledge, but yet he was also proactive in helping others. Both Dave and Josh are great examples of what Josh said, which is mentoring is the heart of SAME. Russ, you're back on screen. Did you want to tell them the calendar things that are in the future?
Yeah, but before we do that, I'm curious if there's any questions for our two speakers today. So if you have a question for either Josh or Dave about the post Fellows Council or past Presidents Fellows Council, I'm curious, maybe by a show of hands, you can give use that react button up there on your team screen and a thumbs up. Have you been involved with a post that has a Fellows Council? I only saw one thumb go up, Jeannie, and I know that I saw Eric Wilbur chatted earlier that the Houston Post had something similar. So I think this is a good topic for today. Dave, Josh, I'm curious what you think as far as one of the struggles I guess I have is in my journey, I've mostly been involved with small posts. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are on maybe a critical mass that it would take to set something like a fellows council up.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I was going to just say was the fact that there is a critical mass, and I'm not sure what that is yet. I mean, I think that's up to every post. But obviously, if you only have one or two fellows, the idea of a council of fellows might not work for you. But the idea that the fellow can play an important role and a formalized role in the post, I think, is still valid. So whether it's a council of fellows or whether it's simply a fellow who is the post fellows POC and continues to offer guidance and continues to engage with the academy, I think is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, from our perspective, I'd say that we've got the PPFC that I mentioned, but we've also got a number of fellows that are active on the board, and so they may or may not come to the PPFC meeting separately, but they're still there serving those same roles. We usually have them in something like the secretary role, and they may stay in the secretary role for 20 years to kind of be that anchor and that stability. But the PPFC, I would say we usually have anywhere from 5 to 10 people that come to that, or fellows or past presidents that attend that meeting. And so probably somewhere in that number is kind of the key to be able to make sure you got at least 3 people at each coming to each meeting, or it's not going to be much of a meeting. And so I would, but a lot of posts may not have that, and that's why I'm thinking maybe there may be some regional solutions for those that may be a region with a bunch of smaller posts. Texas was blessed here with 4 large so medium to large posts with plenty of fellows. But I will say, conversely, Dallas post does not have a PPFC, and they have definitely struggled more with keeping leadership and keeping having a pipeline of leaders coming through that post. So without it, they've been struggling more than Fort Worth has.
Hey, Russ, this is Buddy Barnes. The Houston Galveston Post has had that past presidents and fellows council since around 95. And the interesting thing is even in a small post, if you continue to engage that past president, whether or the past presidents, you may not have fellows, or you may just have one fellow, and hopefully you're gaining more traction. But using that experience group just to make sure that you can chart your course the right direction and not have a lot of U-turns in it because you didn't know what to do, or the new person just said, I don't know what happened 5 years ago. Well, you call Dave Packard and say, Dave, what happened 5, 15, 20 years ago? Or buddy, what happened in 85? But you've got to keep them engaged and at least give them something to do. So if they aren't a member of the board, maybe that panel of people, experienced people, would be good. We have the chair of the past presidents as a board member, a voting board member. And so we always have that voice coming over. But when we meet on the quarterly basis, we meet with the president and president-elect and go over what the current program is, what the future program is, what resources you need. I mean, it's the same thing everyone else does, but the key is making sure that they have all the tools they need to be able to do their best job. And Dave's right. When you have a great team, being the president of the Post really kind of fun. You get to go to the meetings and be the president. And you have 30 or 40 people back there, sweating and working real hard. But the whole thing is capturing that history and making sure that you use it positively as you move forward.
Yeah, and I think Josh maybe touched on that for a moment that I thought was really great is building off what you said, buddy, working with that historical knowledge and how the Post came to be where it is today, but being able to have a group of individuals that also want to see the Post grow and thrive in the future and aren't necessarily stuck in their ways. And so I think that's one of the things that always excites me anytime I see Buddy Barnes in the room, is I know somebody that's got a rich history in SAME, but he's also all in when it comes to exploring new ideas. So with that, if there's no other questions, and I see Naja, the Kitty Hawk Post has an active group of fellows. I think that's fantastic. For those of you that are involved in a post that maybe have the time to live into that fellows charge and that mentoring role, maybe it's time to explore setting up a fellows council or a past president's fellows council, or if that's something that you think's a great idea, but you're personally too tapped out to do it, maybe there's somebody else in the post that that's looking for ways to strengthen and invigorate their posts, and can support it in that fashion. So Josh, Dave, sincerely appreciate y'all helping us get the town halls re-kicked off. And Kathy, if you want to share the upcoming events slide again, please. So a couple of deadlines I'm sure y'all are familiar with. October 3rd is when completed nomination packets have to be into national. That's plenty of time, because I know many of you are working, task order proposals and end of year awards. But if you have a role in that, please do what you can to keep those moving forward. We've got an exciting event coming up at SBC. The October 31st is the members Young Professionals Fellows networking event. And then we're looking also at a fellows luncheon at SBC. RSVP is required for that. And then lastly, we've got a February 1st deadline for award submissions for the Golden Eagle, the Gerald C. Brown Mentoring Award, and the Walter O. Bacchus Gold Medal. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Jeannie to close us out for today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. For those of you, as was noted, the complete packets for fellowship are due on October 3rd. Remember, not only is it mandatory for the fellow applicant to watch the webinar, it is highly suggested for those that are doing the nominations and reviewing the packages to also listen to that webinar. You know, if you're helping somebody make sure their packet is compliant, it would probably be a good idea to make sure you understand what compliance actually means for this year. And with that, unless there are any questions, and I haven't seen any pop up, there's one, how do we RSVP for the Fellows Luncheon during SBC? As Mercedes just responded, it should be a selection on the registration page. If you did register for SBC and you did not mark that, I believe you can go back into your registration via your password and go ahead and mark that. If you have any problems, send a note to SAME staff, because as always, they are fabulous and take care of all of our needs. And with that, it has been my pleasure to serve as your moderator today, and it is a joy to get to work with all of you as a member of the Academy of Fellows. Thank you all for your efforts, your energy, and your friendship. Go have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you all in San Antonio in just a few weeks. I'll be the quiet, shy, and reserved one. Dancing with Buddy, hopefully. Bye all. Kathy, thanks for running the meeting. As always, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeannie.